Welcome back to What's Carol Cooking, and today I'm going to make an oldie but a goodie, a favourite, which is spaghetti and meatballs. I'm going to be making the tomato sauce from scratch, my way of making it from scratch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pour some boiling water onto these tomatoes, and this is a kilo of tomatoes, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to remove the skin from the tomatoes. That takes a little while, and we'll do that, and I'll move it over to the other side. Now I'm going to make the meatballs, and so firstly I've got one onion which I've peeled and cut into quarters. I'm going to pop that into the food processor, and then I've got 5 cloves of garlic, and the only reason it's 5 is because these are really small cloves. Otherwise, if you had bigger ones, you could have 2. And this is a handful of parsley, the Italian flat leaf parsley. I guess you could use the others too. So I'm just going to pop this into the food processor and give it a zap. One more. Oh, you can smell the parsley. So good. Okay, there you have it. Some nice mixed parsley, onion and garlic. So I've got 500 grams of beef and pork mince, which I've popped into this bowl. And now I'm going to remove that. Add that to the mince. Oh, smells. The combination of onion, garlic and parsley is always good. Smell is amazing. Then I'm going to add 1 egg. And I've got 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, which I'll sprinkle on. And I've got a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, which I've grated. Pop that in there. And some salt. Put in lots of salt, because my family says that I don't cook with enough salt. And some black pepper. Okay, now time for some mixing. So I'm just using my hands and I'm going to mix all of that. Now, you don't have to put the onion, garlic and parsley in the food processor. You can just chop it by hand if you prefer, but I actually quite like it nice and smooth, so that my meatballs are not too rough with the chopped onion. Okay, so there you have it. Meatballs are ready to be cooked. So I've put some canola oil into the pan, and I'm just letting it heat. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to dip some of the meatballs, all of the meatballs, into flour before I fry them. Now you may be asking or thinking, why is she dipping meatballs into the flour? And to be honest, I have no idea. That's how my aunt taught me, and so that's what I'm going to do. So I'll pop that in there. It's not that hot, but there's a little bit of a sizzle. And get that going. As I said, on medium heat. We'll cook it. There we go. Now we'll cook that about 4 minutes on each side, I think, maybe 3 minutes. We'll see how it goes, and then I'll transfer that onto another plate. It's been frying for about 3 minutes, so I'm going to turn it over. Yeah, that's perfect. Looking good. Okay, we'll do that for another 3 minutes and then I'll finish it off. While the meatballs are frying, I'm going to prepare the tomato. So that's been sitting in the hot water for maybe about 20 minutes. And so the skin should come off really easily. And I'm just gonna take it off. And then I'll be chopping them up. This one's a bit hard. If you have skin left on it, it's not a big deal, but I just like to take all the skin off. Now that I've peeled them, I'm going to chop them, roughly chop them. Just that. Now if you don't have a lot of time and you prefer not to use fresh tomatoes, that is totally fine. You can either use a can or you can use passata, which is a favorite of mine. And then you basically skip this step, and I'll let you know when you would add the tomatoes in. The meatballs have been cooked and I'm taking it out of the pan. So I've left all the good stuff in there, and I'm going to add 1 large onion that I've chopped into pieces, and I've got 1 celery stick which I've also sliced, and we're going to let that cook for about 5 minutes until it is translucent. The onion and celery has been cooking for about 5 minutes, and now I'm going to add the garlic because I don't want it to burn. So that's 4 cloves of garlic that I've peeled and chopped. And just let that cook for 30 seconds. Incorporate it into the onion and celery mix. And now I'm going to add the tomatoes that I've chopped. Look at that color. As I said, I've roughly chopped them, and this is going to cook down quite a bit. Now you may need to add some water to this if it doesn't have enough water, but tomatoes obviously have lots of water, so it should be okay. I'm going to add some salt. That's about a teaspoon of salt. You can add more if you prefer. And some black pepper. And obviously add as much or as little as you want. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar just to cut through the acidity. I've got brown raw sugar that I'm using. And I'm going to give that a stir. So I'm not going to add, I've got some fresh basil that I will add in later. So I'm literally going to bring this to the boil, and then I'm going to let it simmer for about 40 minutes until it is cooked through. This has been simmering for an hour, and I've added 2 cups of water as I wanted it to be really soft. And as you can see, it's a beautiful dark, rich color. And now I'm going to add some basil and leftover parsley that I've had. Oops. Give that a stir. Looks good. And now I'm going to add the meatballs in there. And that's it. I'll turn off the heat, put a lid on, and then when I'm ready to serve, I'll make the pasta and then we'll plate it up. It's dinner time and I've cooked some spaghetti, so time to plate it up. It's pretty good. A little strip it there. And now we've got our meatballs in our tomato sauce. I've just reheated the meatballs and the tomato sauce. And hot. A little bit more sauce in there. And now I'm going to take some, just this Parmigiano Reggiano, and I'm just going to shade some of it. To add some extra flavour, and that's not working very well. Okay, I'm just going to get another. Better. Oh, smells so good. Okay. And I've got a little bit of some fresh basil, which I'm just going to tear. Pop on the top. And there you have it. Meatballs with tomato pasta, tomato sauce, homemade, and some pasta with some Parmigiano Reggiano sprinkled on the top and some basil leaves. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.